Welcome to the Minneapolis Healthy Homes Referral Network training. I'm here with Ellen Tohn, and we'll be going through the One Touch survey for fluid survey. You've probably already gone through the training for the Minneapolis Healthy Homes Referral Network. Again, if you have any questions, there's contact information at the beginning of this presentation and in the other presentation. The Minneapolis Healthy Homes Referral Network is using the One Touch fluid survey tool to refer to partners. I'm going to turn it over to Ellen Tohn from Tohn Environmental Strategies to show you how we're using this tool and to walk you through the process. Ellen?
Hey Joe, thanks very much. So what we're going to do is walk you through a case study, give you some information about that, and then we'll go and enter the data and information about that family and about that home into our survey tool and see how it works. So just walking it through, take some note of things. This is an older home, so that makes us think about lead paint. It says 1939, so pre-war we'd be thinking about lead paint, wood frame, asphalt roof, 2-story, partially finished basement. It's got some original windows. It's got an older gas HVAC system, but otherwise the building conditions are pretty good. We're going to take note here that the family primarily is Somali-speaking, black and non-Hispanic. We'll want to take note of the ages of the people living in the home because we'll need to record that in our survey. So we'll see here we do have some kids under the age of 6 years and complaints about mold, and we do have some concerns about energy and the needs to stay warm, and also we have some health insurance needs. Things to keep in mind, and some mobility concerns as well as missing smoke detectors and fire extinguishers. So that's what we have in our home right now. Joe, if we can go to the next one. We're looking at some pictures here, so I'm going to give you just 5 seconds or so to look at those and see what you think is going on. We obviously see basement mold on the right, and hopefully I've given you enough time to think about on the left what that is, and what we're looking at is actually mice feces. Those are our conditions, and now we're going to say we were at this home and we were visiting that family, and we'll take a look at how we would enter this data and information into our survey tool. So you will all have access to this URL link. Enjoy. Now we switched over to our survey tool, and when you click on the link you're going to get a screen that looks just like this. And it'll ask you for basic information, which you will already have. As most of your home visiting, you know your own name, the assessor name. So let's just fill this information in, and we're going to make it up. So we'll say the assessor is Sue Smith. And Sue Smith, we have to note which is the organization that sent Sue Smith out to do the initial assessment. So we're going to pick that it was ClearCore doing a original lead screening job. And the reason we want to pick which organization did the initial work is we can then track data about what happened based on individual programs and the conditions they see and how they might be different, and the referrals they make and how those might be different. So this is my phone number, so we're just going to put in some sample numbers here. Make those up, it doesn't matter. We're going to give Sue Smith at gmail.com. We're going to do that. What I want to say is there are a couple of fields that are required that you have to fill in. This is going to ask us the date of the visit, so it'll pull up a screen and you'll enter it. This will be today's date. A couple of fields that are required. One is date visited, and you'll see we'll hit the next button, and then we'll go to the next screen. It'll ask for the client information, so we'll say that the client is Ed Tom, and we'll give him a daytime phone number of this. He doesn't have an email, let's say, that he's willing to give us. The property address, we'll say it is 63 4th Street. And let's say, by mistake, I said, oh, I didn't fill this in. The property owner name, if different than not the original, this is owner occupied, so they're the same person. We said they were Somali speaking, and I think we said their race was black, non-Hispanic. We're going to try and hit next here, and you'll see, it's not letting me hit next because it wants an answer to this question is required, property address, so it won't let me proceed. So there are only a couple of questions that require you to answer. It's the assessor organization, who you're working for, your name, and the property address. These are required fields. So if you make a mistake, it'll prompt you to come back. So we'll re-enter 63 4th Street, and it doesn't have a unit number, and we'll put it in Minneapolis, and we'll come up with a zip code that might be about right. Property or name is different. It's owner-occupied, so we go on to this. Now it lets us proceed because we've answered those questions. So in the occupants, I think there were 5 or 6 occupants. So let's pick 5 for right now. There were children under 6, and there was a disabled person. And Joe, do you remember, were there adults
Yes.
over 55?
No, there were not. There were no
adults over 55. So yes, there were some people that needed health insurance, and if we had information about them, we would include it. And they were adults.
Yes.
Right. Did anyone in the home smoke? We didn't
No.
have any data about that. And we are going there on an energy visit, and let's say in this case, we weren't provided any information about other programs that they had qualified for, but maybe ClearCore knew that someone there was on Medicaid. You could check that box, or if you weren't sure, then you might say, gosh, I'm not sure, but based on my visit to this family, it looks like they might be likely to qualify for income. That's your own judgment. You could click that. The reason we're asking this question is we're just trying to understand which other assistance programs they qualify for to give us a clue about whether they might qualify for other referral services. So in this case, let's say we knew something that that the kids were on Medicaid, and we I don't think there was anything in the case study, Joe, about asthma, was there?
No asthma.
No asthma, and we don't know anything about ER visits. Wasn't in the case study, and so we're going to say we don't know. And then we'll go on here. This was a owner-occupied single family. We knew the home year was 1939, I recall, and it's definitely built prior to 78. And we could see in the moisture slide there was some peeling paint, so we'll check yes to that. And there were neither working smoke nor working CO detectors, as I recall.
Right.
The case study didn't say, are there working fire extinguishers? We'll say for the case of this example, no. There was some visible mold, and there definitely were water stains that we saw. And we did see some mice poop, right? This question about pets we'll actually be deleting in the next version of this survey, so we'll move on. Mobility concerns, yes, and there was as I recall, a need for a ramp, right?
Yes, the ramp was too steep.
But ramp, existing ramp, and you gotta type better than me.
And most of the home wasn't accessible by a wheelchair.
Most of home not accessible by wheelchair, which is needed for one resident. Right? So we'll say that, and we'll go to next. Plumbing and electrical concerns, there weren't any. Around energy, there were some concerns about that they were cold in the winter. Mm-hmm. There were no energy audit. We're not completing an energy audit as part of our visit, so we'll say nothing to there. We knew it was a gas fuel source, and we don't. There were no other hazards identified by us. We don't know if the home was tested for radon, and we don't have any information about outstanding orders, condemnation, or foreclosure. This question will also be changing to have a none or not known as an option. So now we get to the bottom line. Based on what we saw, who will we be making a referral to? So in this case, we know that there are some lead issues, so we're making a referral. We saw some problems around moisture and mice, so we're making a referral around healthy homes repairs. There is a need for health insurance, and there was a need for energy weatherization services, because we had a sense this would be energy efficiency weatherization for low income versus energy efficiency services for folks who are not low income. And we also saw some accessibility services. And we'll put here in our comments kind of the things we really want to make sure the organizations getting the referrals understand. So let's say in this case the family is very concerned about the ramp and upgrading it, right? And we might also say a significant lead concerns with multiple small children.
So Ellen, for those of us that might not know about indicators of lead, can you tell us why you think it would be referred to lead-safe housing?
Right. Well, we have an older home, so pre-1978, we know is likely to contain lead-based paint, particularly pre-1950 homes. So this is a 1939 home. And we saw water damage and peeling paint in the photo with the mice species in the window and in the moisture picture down in the basement. And we've walked around the home and we can see there's flaking, peeling paint in a variety of locations. And we know there are 3 small children under the age of 6. That's our most vulnerable population, particularly those little kids who are crawling on the floor where they're going to get in contact with not just paint chips, but more importantly, lead dust that comes from deteriorated lead-based paint that can get on their hands, and then their hands go in their mouth, and that's our primary source of lead poisoning. Joe, that helpful?
Very helpful, thank you.
And so we would put in the comments here anything else we might want to say. So we might also say something, best to reach family after 4 p.m. when off work. Maybe we learn that about them. This is the best way to reach them. So what will happen now is we'll click Next, and as part of the One Touch program, what we're doing is collecting this information and making these referrals that will go to the other organizations. In order to share that information with our partner organization in One Touch, we'll need the client's sign-off and their permission. The specific test on this will be evolving over the next month, but you'll see we will keep the same general format where we'll ask the customer client to say, yeah, I agree to share this information, to have you share it with the other One Touch partners, their first name, last name. They might agree here, so we could click agree, and I believe the name was Ed Tom, and Ed can actually sign it if you end up with a electronic copy of this, or you might say, there you go, or you might say, you know what, we have a paper copy of Ed's signature. So we'll click Next to get to our final screen, and this is data about referral status, what's going to happen in the future, which we don't know about yet, so we'll just hit Submit, and we're done. If we want to download a copy of the responses so that we can look at them ourselves, we can do that. We'll click Download to Word, and on my screen that will download, and then we can we'll go over here and look at my download button, and I can click on the form here, and now I have I'll make this nice and big so you can see it, a picture of how that looks in a Word document. We can also download it in a PDF document and have all the information right here. So what happens then is an email, based on the referrals that you checked, an email will go both to the Healthy Homes program in the city and to the specific organization that can provide the services, if that's very clear. If not, in some cases it'll be programmed to go to the Healthy Homes program, lead program, and they'll triage it from there. So I'll give the controls back to Jo, and she can show a sample of what that e-referral look like. It's pretty straightforward to enter these data. We've timed ourselves. Takes about usually, if you know the answers, maybe 6 to 8 minutes. And as you can see from the questions, about half the questions involve information you already know about the family and the home. So it's really a small set of questions that you're asking about. And if you feel uncomfortable about asking a specific question, we would just say skip on over it. The information that we get is all a value add and all contributes to bringing additional services to the family. Let me turn it back to Jo, and she'll show you what the email looks like when it comes through from an e-referral.
Terrific. Thank you, Ellen, very much. So when we get the referral, we get an email. It'll tell us the organization. It'll tell us what the referral was. It's actually much longer than this, but this is what it says at the beginning. It lets me know that the referral was made by ClearCore. It will give me any comments. So this is a referral that I entered earlier, and somebody had entered the comment that the family does not income qualify for lead programs. There are other information that we could have in there. You saw that Ellen filled out a variety of information. So that will come at the top of that email referral. Do you have anything to add to that, Ellen?
Jo, if you want to send it back to me, the program just actually sent me an e-referral, and we can look at it right on my screen from the house that we did. All right, so you should be able to see my screen now, and Jo, can you see it?
Not yet. I'm going to start recording.
And then say, 3, 2, 1. So what will happen when you click the referral box is that an e-referral will go to one of the partners, and as I said before, that'll likely go to the Healthy Homes and Lead program, and in all cases, and in some cases directly to the program that can provide the service. And it'll look just like this. You have a one-touch referral, and it'll say what the need is. So in this case, there was a referral made for lead hazard control work, and just scroll back up a little, Jo.
Oh, sure.
I lost the first sentence. And it will also say the organization that made the referral, so that, remember, we were doing the home visit as ClearCore for lead, and then we've programmed it to put in the first paragraph the comments that were provided by the home visitor. So if you recall, I said the family's concerned about the ramp, and they had concerns about lead, and best to reach them out at 4 o'clock. It then also gives you a URL link that you can click and just download the responses in the same way that we just I showed you on how to do it in a Word or a PDF version. And then contained in the email, and Jo can scroll down here, it gives you all the information that we collected during our visit and our one-touch data entry. So you can say, yeah, I got that referral for lead. Oh, I see here the house was 1939. There's water issues. There's rats. Ramp. That's not my something I can do something about. But interesting to note that that's what they need. So I can see they made a referral to lead safe housing. That was me. But I can also see the other referrals that were made for this home if I want to try and coordinate with some of those other programs. So that's how e-referrals work. We think they're pretty nifty. You'll get the information, and then One Touch compiles all that information and allows the partners to do some looking at where referrals are coming from and what are the most common problems that we're seeing in homes. So we wish you luck entering the data. If you do have any challenges or questions, you can reach either Jo or I. We'd be happy to walk you through the system. Our emails were at the very beginning of this presentation, so feel free to scroll back to the beginning and find our emails, and there they are. And good luck.
Thank you all for attending. Thank you, Ellen, for all your work on this and for sharing your information with us. And